We have been talking about asking and asking early, and we have talked about being quite ready for what you ask for. And I want to consider something I think it may be lost or is continuing to be lost in my generation. And that is the fact that we don't owe people anymore. And I'm not talking about owing people money. But one of the reasons, personally, I think it's difficult to ask someone for a thing is because we don't have such a strong relationship with the person that enables what we are asking for. And so when we must ask, it feels like begging, and begging has some kind of shame that goes with it. For most normal people, begging feels condescending. And so we don't want to feel that way. But when you have a relationship with somebody and you are asking from that relationship, it's easy to give. The problem most people like me don't feel like asking is because we don't want to owe you. We don't want to position ourselves in a we don't want to keep ourselves in a position where we are either begging or we are owing you. And so we prefer not to ask. And now this carries on even to relationships where we are supposed to ask. And so I'm telling you today that if you come to a relationship and you give, if you come to work and you do what you're supposed to do and you invest yourself in that job and you go over and beyond and you find situations where you are almost sacrificing, there are things that are happening that you should be recompensed for, but you are not asking for it. You are placing that organization in your debt, especially if you know how to communicate this very well. And so if you come to a relationship and, 3 weeks into the relationship, this person has a police case or this person has a problem that normally should have you escaping us or keeping your distance, and you go all the way. You do it not because you have to. That person is in your debt. Let me show you something, of course, from the Bible. I have been dwelling on the book of Samuel. I've been exploring David's life, and it's from him I'm getting, from these scriptures that I'm getting some of these insights. So, First Samuel chapter 20, verse 16 and 17. This is David and Jonathan. And Jonathan made a covenant with the house of David, saying, "May the Lord call David's enemies to account." Right? Second Samuel 19, verse 13. And David said to Amasa, "Are you not my flesh and blood? May God deal with me, if you are not commander of my army for life." Now, this is David's pattern. It has always been his patterns. Once David made a relationship with someone, he promised something. As in, even when he didn't know what he was going to get or who he was going to be, and when he was not in a position to make that promise, he made a commitment to use what was within his capacity to protect, and he went all out. In fact, I think that was the reason he was so mad with Nabal, because without knowing Nabal, he protected Nabal's sheep. He protected Nabal's flock. The Bible says that the Nabal's servant says that David's men were like a wall around, helping. And so when the time came, and he sent his guys to go greet Nabal, and Nabal responded to him like he was begging, it hurts. But if I am to use David as an example of somebody who God has favored, somebody who good things have happened to, then it behooves that we have to cultivate this pattern, this behavior where we go all out for somebody just because. It even gives you a good feeling. And even if that person is unable to pay back, the fact that you are that kind of person that you give, it gives you a platform from which to ask. I seriously do not believe that you can walk into the fullness of what God has for you if you don't partner with somebody, if you don't ask. I don't know any great man, any man who is truly accomplished, who does not on the regular ask people to give him things, on the regular ask people to go out on a limb for him, on the regular get indebted to people. And so this thing about, oh, I can take care of myself, I'll walk and I'll get my own thing, I think it's something I need to start losing. I think it's something you need to start losing grip of. If you are really going to walk into the fullness, I think you should bring down your guard on this inability to ask, on this pride. I think, yes, I think there's a lot of pride going on. And I'm telling you because I am currently going through it. I know the mindset it will take me to walk up to ask someone, even people with whom I am in relationships with. And I think one of the reasons we are unable to do that is because we are not going all out for people. We would not, if the tables were turned, maybe you will not do it for somebody on which you are on such a relationship with. And so you don't see somebody doing that for you. And if somebody does that for you, there must be something. So before we begin asking, and there is no beginning to ask per se, there is no, okay, this is the time I get to and then I start asking. At every stage and at every level, it is required that you open up your mouth and speak to somebody in a way that opens you, in a way that makes you vulnerable. You have to open up your mouth and discuss with somebody. Please, can you help me do this? Can you help me take care of this? Can I get this from you? That has to start happening. I honestly believe that those guys in school who during exams time will tell their friends, please, can I copy from you? It was cheating, right? It was downright cheating. I never did it. I don't subscribe to it still. But I think that ability for those tough guys in my class, they were very tough guys who were doing well until time for exam and they became small children and they were begging. I sincerely still believe that that ability to look at someone who has what you want and to be able to open up your mouth and ask them, especially if you are able to ask from a relationship, I think it's a life skill. Yeah, I know I'm used to saying things are a life skill, but you cannot really walk in your greatness until you start meeting people, until you start asking people. And what frees you up to really ask is that you give. Is that you give like there is no man's, like giving is going out of fashion. That you see someone, that there is something that someone asks of you, and just because it's within your capacity, and even if it's going to stretch you, just because you think this is something that this person can benefit from, you go out of your way to give. If you have this mindset, it is easier. It is easier for you to ask. It is easier for you to discuss a need with someone. The reason you are unable to is because you don't consider yourself ever doing it. So that's the food for thought. Happy Monday to you.